Well, we're going to stay in the US, where Donald Trump's pick as health secretary has been grilled today over claims he worsened Samoa's 2019 measles outbreak that cost 83 lives, including many young children. In a Senate hearing, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was accused of exploiting the deaths of 2 children after muscle relaxant was mistakenly mixed with a measles vaccine to promote his anti-vax message, which caused vaccination rates to drop. He also claimed victims of the outbreak, whose tissue samples were sent to New Zealand for testing, were found not to have measles. Deputy Prime Minister Winston Peters said he wouldn't disown Kennedy's comments, but a leading vaccinologist here says Kennedy has a body count and is a danger to the world. Senior reporter Juliette Speedy has the story.
Robert F. Kennedy entered to applause, but many, both in the Senate and out of it, were looking on aghast.
I'm humbled to be sitting here today as President Trump's nominee to oversee the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The man known as RFK, or Bobby Kennedy, from one of America's most well-known families, is also a well-known anti-vaxxer and is now poised to take the reins of the world's biggest health system.
You are a very influential man. In fact, you are called the leader of the disinformation dozen.
Kiwi vaccinologist Helen Patoussis-Harris was blunt in her assessment.
RFK Jr. is a very, very dangerous man.
But in a bid for the top health job, RFK seems to have changed his tune.
News reports have claimed that I'm anti-vaccine or anti-industry. I am neither. I am pro-safety.
Today, under oath, you denied that you were anti-vaccine. But during a podcast interview in July of 2023, you said, quote, "No vaccine is safe and effective."
The argument moved to the Pacific region and the 2019 measles outbreak in Samoa, where a growing anti-vax movement once found a tragic story to exploit.
In July 2018, 2 children died immediately after receiving a measles vaccine that nurses had mistakenly mixed with a muscle relaxant. The nurses get charged with manslaughter, but vaccination rates go down.
Rates were already low, but this caused the government to halt the vaccine program and saw some turn to dangerous alternative treatments, like so-called healing water. RFK visited Samoa that same year. Photos show him meeting prominent anti-vaxxers.
I went there, nothing to do with vaccines. I went there to introduce a medical informatics system.
We now know that's not true. I have the documentation. You met with the Prime Minister. You talked about vaccinations. You met with an anti-vaccine influencer who described the meeting as, quote, profoundly monumental for this movement.
RFK then brought up New Zealand to the Senate, saying that tissue samples sent here proved the victims in Samoa didn't have measles.
83 people died when the tissue samples were sent to New Zealand. Most of those people did not have measles. We don't know what was killing them.
Children start dying. But you doubled down. You didn't give up. Just 4 days after the Prime Minister declared a state of emergency, 16 people already dead, you sent a letter to him promoting the idea that the children had died not from measles, but from, quote, defective vaccine.
We asked Deputy Prime Minister Winston Peters about RFK's claims, and he didn't disown them.
Did you see the time he had in front of that committee? Yeah. That was very interesting and not new to me. Now, I'd like to know from our medical people what the facts are, but I'm not disowning them the way you are just because he said it. But what he did say about the whole chronology of events there is utterly correct, and I know because I went there.
Yeah, is he spreading misinformation?
Oh, so here you go again. That's your typical style of journalism. By any inference. Ask your stupid questions of some other stupid MP, but not me.
But Peter's office later contacted our office to water down his comments, then sent an email saying the 2019 measles outbreak was a terrible moment in Samoa's history, with 83 people losing their lives. And at the time, New Zealand worked very closely with the Samoan government to get on top of the situation. We also contacted the Ministry of Health to see whether they could confirm Robert Kennedy's claims about the testing done here, but we haven't had a response yet. New Zealand experts have been watching RFK and his vaccine claims for years.
There's about a dozen individuals globally that are responsible for the majority of anti-vaccine information. And he's at the centre of it and has been for a very, very long time.
She says it's beyond belief the same man is now vying to control the health system in the USA.
I don't think the creators of The Simpsons saw this coming. I mean, it couldn't possibly be worse. You have a person who creates information that's not true and profits off it. There's a body count, yes. And we know, of course, we know the direct impact of eroding vaccine programs, and that is a return of disease. And it's the research actually shows that he and his organisation are responsible for an enormous proportion of this.
Those who oppose him say he will preside over a new outbreak of disease, which could affect us all.
Should he be confirmed, and I think he likely will be confirmed, I think affects everybody.
He would control the biggest departmental budget in the United States, with an enormous influence on global health.
Now, we've just heard back from Andrew Old, the Deputy Director General of the Public Health Agency, and he says samples sent from Samoa to New Zealand early on in the outbreak were either swabs or blood from living patients, and these confirmed the Samoan outbreak had the same measles strain as New Zealand, which had its own outbreak at the time. The Ministry of Health has not been able to confirm whether other tissue samples were sent from Samoa to New Zealand, as Robert F. Kennedy has claimed. The Samoan Ministry of Health annual report for that year confirmed 83 deaths from measles with other complications.